Hello, welcome, afternoon from the lovely confines of RPM Technik. Hope you can hear me okay. I've got pulp going on in the background, which is decent music, it has to be said. But look, usually with my videos, I'll try and do a bit of an educational angle, right? So that we can all improve our Porsche knowledge. However, sometimes you just have to go, look, I'm surrounded by lovely cars and I just want to show it to you, really. So it's what we're going to do. I mean, I've titled the video, the live broadcast, GT Heaven, and it's kind of what it is at RPM Technik, such as the stock these days. It fits rather nicely with what the company is doing in terms of its track offerings and track day assistance, and certainly with the launch of the Rush Club now, which again is track day assistance for a massive and ever expanding calendar for track days, which is throughout Europe now, and a couple of road trips as well. So contact the guys here if you want to learn a little bit more about that. But yeah, I wanted to show you some of the cars here because we're just surrounded by such awesome GT product and metal. So again, like we're going to come to all this in a minute, but I want to go straight to what is my favourite car here. And as great as this is, and it is, I've got to start here because to me, in my recent video where I said cars to buy, best cars to buy that are going to appreciate in the next 5 years, I mentioned the 996 RS. I slipped in a little sentence or two just about the 997, and I said, actually, these cars are so underrated and undervalued. And yeah, see one in the metal today has only kind of highlighted that even further for me. So again, these are rare. These are really, really rare. I make it, there's just over 1,100 of these made. I've seen 1,900 on the internet, but I don't agree with that. It's a super rare car, not as rare as the 996 RS, that's 682. But compare this to like a 991 Rennsport. These are rare, and it's the added cachet of being like a traditional 911, being a manual RS, which, you know, obviously you can't get these days. But otherwise, it's that lightweight, pure motorsport recipe shoehorned into a road car. I guess the reason the 997 RS has kind of struggled, the Gen 1, and certainly this is the thing, look at that, that's an incredible amount of car for the money, especially when you look at next to it with the 991.2 Touring. Okay, so this is a genuine 911 Rennsport for 130k. It's absurd value for money. I guess the reason these cars have always struggled is because on paper there's big similarities with the GT3, which can be had for considerably less. Again, you know, you shave a tenth off the 0 to 60 time on the RS compared to the 997.1 GT3. Top speed is 1 mile an hour more. And again, in terms of weight saving, only 20 kilos lighter this is over the GT3. And then I guess things like this annoyed people at the time, which was a badge rather than a sticker, which is massive first world problems, but there we go. I do just want to say quickly as well that the reason I'm filming in portrait is because if I turn the phone sideways, YouTube cuts off the live broadcast. It's the way of the world these days, I'm afraid. You've got to thank TikTok for that, but everybody wants, the tech companies want you to shoot in portrait. So I would prefer landscape as much as you, but we have to roll as is. But anyway, back to the RS. So 20 kilos lighter, and that was basically down to a carbon fibre hood, lightweight glass on the back, and a carbon fibre deck lid as well. Or rear wing, really, isn't it, rather than deck lid. Some really cool colourways with the 997.1 RS. I think this looks awesome in black with the orange accents, including the cage. Love these seats as well. I think these are better than 918 seats, I think, but that's just my humble opinion. 6-speed, obviously. This has had some upgrades. I think it's KW suspension, Alcon brakes, and a Europipe exhaust. So it's proper screamer. Revs to 8.5, just under. There you go, look, you might be able to see the brakes in there. There we go. I've waxed lyrical about this car, probably spent a bit too much time on it, but I just think that is absurd amount of car for the money. And if anybody would like to buy this car for me at any point, I would be very grateful. Okay, so I'll move on from that. Yeah, look, the 991.2 Touring. And again, I mentioned on that 5 cars to buy video, I said 45 of these in the UK. RPM Technik reckon 47, but either way, there's not a lot at all in comparison to 992 GT3 Tourings. And again, with the 991, it was a package, I think, rather than a model in its own right, and that's probably why a lot of people actually with their 991.2 GT3, they went for the fixed rear wing rather than the touring, which came with the gurney flap on the end of what was the electrically adjustable active rear wing. This has ceramics, by the way. More importantly, it's got a lovely reflection of that RS. But I'll move on. 918 seats, really nice houndstooth inserts on there. Obviously it's a manual, all the 991.2s were manual. I think this is fairly low mileage as well. But yeah, very, very cool. I'm not sure why that's up, but I don't want to put it down in case that means something to someone. Onto 993 RS and his little introduction. I did I think a reel on one of these, another one earlier, a couple of weeks back. That was Japanese delivered. This is C00, which is German delivered. It's been in the UK since I think 2005, 2006. Last owner, or same owner since 2006. And as I said on the most recent Nineworks Radio podcast, I think that is the best looking 911 of all time because of the harmony with the front and the rear. Some cars, like I'd say the 996 C4S, widely accepted as one of the best rears of a 911, but it doesn't quite match up with the front. You know, you can't say that about the front. Same for 993 Turbo in my opinion, but this car I think as a whole package, I think is aesthetically beautiful. It looks fast standing still, particularly with the Club Sport spec rear wing and the Club Sport front lip as well, but looks fast standing still and looks elegant in a way a modern RS possibly isn't. In my humble opinion, you may disagree. Obviously this is in speed yellow, it's obviously manual. And yeah, the last air-cooled Rennsport royalty, and there's a lovely article coming on these cars, if not this specific car, in Total 911 magazine. So we've got 718 Spider, which is GT car in product, if kind of not in name, I guess. Pretty cool, but then look, we've got more in here. So more mid-engine goodness in the 981 GT4, and we've got 718 GT4 Club Sport. I don't know if I can dodge the tree. Let's just have a quick compare-o. 718, 981. 718, 981. I think I prefer the looks of the 981. Not sure if that's controversial or not. The right level of aggression, I guess. But yeah, the 718 is a Club Sport. Does look good. Black on black on black. Cage, wheels, manual as well. It's pretty cool. Oh, and very well spec'd in having the ceramics with the calipers painted black rather than the ubiquitous yellow. That's very cool. Moving on, 991.2 GT3. We've got a couple of 991.2 GT3 flavours here. This is basically launch spec. I remember when Porsche Germany announced the car and then it came with these, and then on the wheels they had the, yes, this surround. I'm sorry, I don't know the posh term for that, but this is basically launch spec of the 991.2 GT3, which is wicked. This is PDK spec, lots of red in there, lots of red. Whoa. Very cool. I will venture over here at this point because, I mean, yeah, it's 991.2 GT3 again in white. I mean, white is motorsport to me. Just a way to get a cool livery, isn't it? But this is the manual, 6-speed motorsport manual. And where the other car has red everywhere, this has white. It might look in the phone like that's the aluminium, but that is definitely the white. White paint there. Yeah, quite interesting actually. So whereas the other one, that red one, is buckets and PDK, so you'd argue more track focused. This has got the sofas and the manual, so maybe more road focused. So it depends how you like your 991.2 GT3, but either way you're getting a 4-litre screamer of a flat 6 revving to 9,000 RPM. So can't really ignore this, can we? Look at this. So you've got wing, and then you've got Mac Daddy wing over there with the Manthey kit. So this has been with RPM before, And we ought to do a video on this. To be honest, I was going to do a video on this today, but it was icy outside, and those are Michelin Cup 2R tyres. So, yeah, I didn't want to tempt fate, really. There'd been more to lose than gain in that scenario. But the Manthey kit, this was converted by RPM Technik, who are official Manthey partners. What does the Manthey kit consist of? Well, depends, really. Depends how far you want your budget to go. But with this car, you've got aero, as you can see, taller wing, huge end plates. I think more adjustability as well, you would assume. The aero package also with the modern interpretation of the turbo fans as well. It's got a suspension upgrade. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see too much, but if you can see the green in there, that's the Manthey /KW suspension kit. And then it's also brakes as well. And I mean, this thing, already building on the Rennsport recipe, I mean, look at it, it's just an absolute monster. You can actually see, if you look down the line there, just look at the camber of the car. Completely different kettle of fish, building on, as I said, what is already a ludicrous package in being 991 GT3 RS. Yeah, the reason I did that is on the 992 GT3 RS, I borrowed the Porsche GB press car last week, and I didn't like the feel of the PDK shifters. These ones feel heavier, but the motion's just nicer. Very short paddle travel, but with the 992, it's got this weird like click. It sounds like you're on a PlayStation rather than a car. So that was for my own benefit, really, rather than yours. So yes, there's the Manthey car in lizard green, looking resplendent. We've seen this. I mean, this is cool. You know, the only kind of non-GT product, really, certainly by name. 911E, restored by RPM Technik. It was originally black. It's gone to the king of Porsche colours, which is slate grey. I love the yellow headlights. Andy, my No Mix Radio podcast co-presenter, will dig them even more, I'm sure. And actually, they look classic, but if you can see almost behind the lens, I'm not sure you can, there's got RPM Technik's own Lume Technik headlights in there, which basically means that unlike the original factory lights, which are basically candles up front, you'll be actually able to see where you're going, which is cool, especially as it kind of still looks ostensibly classic. All of the chrome bright work as well, quintessential long hood car on Fuchs in that slate grey, as I said, with, I mean, just look at this interior. To me, houndstooth just doesn't get boring, especially on the long hood cars. You can see on the dash trim there as well, which I think looks good. Balsa wood gear knob as well. It's basically got all the boxes ticked. All the boxes ticked. What you'd want from a classic Porsche. I wonder if we can do this. We can do that. Let's have a little look at what should be a green fan shroud. Okay, well, as standard, the 911E had a green fan shroud. Oh dear. But yeah, very cool. Okay. Not a lot I can comment on in there, I'm afraid, not with any real conviction or jurisdiction. There's a load more room, actually, now that MFI has been taken out. But yeah, very, very cool. Oh, cool plate as well, 911E. Does what it says on the tin. 718 Spider in white. Not sure the transmission on that. Okay, it is a stick shift, you can see. But I guess we'll finish with this. So again, you know, I've called this GT Heaven. It's got GT in the name, but it's not a GT product, it's GTS. So you could argue perhaps the most usable car here, certainly day to day. I think the 991.2, they're just awesome. One of these cars came on our September 9works road trip to the Porsche Museum. 4-wheel drive, and yeah, just did everything so well. What one's this? Oh, this is the C2, the rear drive, because the red light, well, it doesn't have that connecting red light. But yeah, as like a brilliant, usable, fun day-to-day car, I just think the 991.2 is probably unbeatable. GTS pack, straight out the box, gives you everything you need and more. The sunroof is good. And also, yeah, I know this is my opinion, but I just think the 991 looks so much better than the 992 from quite literally every angle. So that's what we've got. It's a final look around the showroom at RPM Technik. Lots of just really, really cool stuff. So that's what I mean. Sometimes it's good to just say, look, we're not doing an educational piece today. We're just looking at lovely cars. So yeah, that's it. We are welcoming 50 members of the Nine Works Driven Not Hidden Collective here at RPM Technik tonight. It's what is it? It's a live Q&A. So we will record a podcast for it, but it's a live Q&A. We've got 3 partners from the industry that are going to come along and offer their expert advice and insight really on the marketplace. It's a really interesting place to be currently, isn't it? Lots to talk about, so I'm excited for that. That's going to be kicking off in a couple of hours' time. So yeah, thanks for joining us on this walk around just to look at some lovely cars. I'll spin you around so you can see the cars to finish. There's my favourite. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in to this live broadcast, and we'll see you soon for another curated video on Nine Works TV.